Let's piss some people off.
Let me say something that people don't really say out loud. Sometimes you're not alone because you don't have people. You're alone because people don't know how to approach you. Not because you're rude, not because you think you're better, but not because you don't want connection, but because of how you carry yourself. Because you don't shrink, because you don't need validation, and instead of people getting to know you, they decide who you are from a distance. She's intimidating, they say. She thinks she's better, she doesn't need anyone. And the crazy part is that you're sitting there like, I actually do want connection, I actually do want friends, but people don't meet you, they measure themselves against you. And if you don't understand this, you're going to start thinking there's something wrong with you, when really you're just being misunderstood. Hi, and welcome back to I Am Spice, the podcast. This is where we talk about real life, identity, growth, healing, the things people feel but don't always say out loud. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here, you already know how we do things already. So take a second to subscribe, like, share this episode with someone who needs it, because this one right here, this one is one of those conversations that you don't just listen to, you also feel it. I'm gonna talk to you guys like if I'm talking to a friend, because this isn't something I'm here to teach. This is something I've lived, something I've felt, and something I know a lot of people go through but don't always know how to explain. There's this space you get into when you've done real work on yourself, when you've taken the time to figure out who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you tolerate, and when you don't tolerate anymore, and everything starts to feel different. Not in a loud way, in a very quiet way, a way that you can't always explain to people. You can be around people and still feel disconnected. You can be in conversations and feel like you're not really there the same way you used to be. And at first, you think it's you. You start questioning yourself. Did I change too much? Am I doing too much? Am I the one creating this distance? And I've had these moments myself. I sat there and really looked at myself, because when something feels off for a while, you naturally go inwards, and that's not a bad thing. But there comes a point where you have to be honest with yourself about what's actually happening around you. Because for me, I had to realize it's not that I don't want connection. I do. I want real friendships, real conversations, real energy. I want to sit with someone and just be without overthinking things, without adjusting, without feeling like I have to be less in order to be accepted. But at the same time, I'm not willing to leave myself to have that anymore. And that right there changes everything, because when you stop shrinking, when you stop over explaining, when you stop performing a version of yourself just to be easier for other people, people don't experience you the same way anymore. Instead of getting curious about you, instead of taking the time to actually know you, they create a story about you from a distance. They label you. They decide who you are without ever having a real conversation with you. And that happens to me all the time. They're like, she's intimidating, she thinks she's better, she doesn't need anyone. And you're sitting there like, based on what? Like, because in your mind, you're not competing. You're not trying to outshine anyone. You're not trying to make anyone feel less. You're literally just being yourself. But I had to be honest about something else too. This version of me didn't just happen. People see now and they think this is just how I've always been. Like, I just woke up one day confident, clear, and all put together. And that is so not true. What they're seeing, it's years of work, years of figuring myself out, years of unlearning things that were never yours. Years of healing things you didn't even realize were affecting you. Years of asking yourself uncomfortable questions. Who am I really? What do I actually like? What parts of me are real and what parts were shaped by what I thought I had to be? This version of me was built from scratch. Who I am today, it is. And I'm very aware that I'm different. I dress different. I carry myself different. I take care of myself in a way that's intentional. My hair, my skin, my nails, my jewelry, those are things I love. Not because I need validation, but because that's how I like to show up for myself. But people don't see the years behind that. They see the result. And that result can feel like a lot of to someone who doesn't understand it. So instead of getting to know you, they create a story. She's too much. She's probably mean. She's cutthroat. And you're sitting there like, you haven't even met me. You don't know how I think. You don't know how I love. You don't know how I show up for people. But you already decided who I am based on how I look. And I used to want to fix that in the past. I used to want to explain myself to make people see me correctly, to show them that I'm actually genuine, open, and down to earth. But I don't do that anymore. Because if someone decides who you are before they met you, they were never trying to know you. They were trying to categorize you. And I don't fit in categories anymore. And that's where the loneliness comes in. Because it's not just about outgrowing people, it's about realizing that some people never really experienced you to begin with. Let that sink in. They experience their perception of you, and those are two completely different things. Sometimes it's not even that you lost a friendship, it's that you never got the chance to build one to begin with, and that hits different. Because there's no argument, no ending, just simply distance, and you feel it. And I've had to sit with that. I've had to sit with the fact that some people felt like they had to compete with me, and they still do. And I didn't even know we were in a competition. I was just being myself, the person that I worked so hard to be all these years. And that realization is heavy because now you understand it was never about what you did, it was about how they felt around you. And that's not something you can control. And this is where things get really real. But people say confidence pushes people away, but that's so not true. Confidence doesn't push people away. It reveals people. It shows you who is secure enough to stand next to you without comparing themselves to you and who isn't. And yeah, that comes with moments where it feels lonely, where you sit there and think, I know who I am, I've done the work, I'm comfortable with myself, so where are my people? Where's my friends? And lately, I've been thinking about that in a deeper way, because I know I'm not the only woman who feels like this. There are women out there who have done the work, who know who they are, who don't, need validation, who move out of insecurity, who don't shrink themselves to be accepted. And because of that, they end up being misunderstood. Not because there's something wrong with them, but because they don't fit into spaces that other people are, that they were built around people still figuring themselves out. And I've been creating something quietly. I haven't really spoken about it much yet. I've created a couple of things, but it's been on my mind and on my heart for a while now. It's a space for women exactly like that. Women who are confident, self-aware, evolving. Women who are done dimming themselves just to make other people comfortable. A space where you don't have to explain your energy, where you don't have to water yourself down, where being fully yourself isn't misunderstood, it's just normal. And I don't have all the details figured out yet, but I know what it's meant to feel like. And that's what I'm building. I'm building the house of spice. And maybe that's what this season is about for me. Not just finding my people, but building the space where they can find me as well. So if you've ever felt like this, like you're misunderstood before you even known, like people decide who you are without actually taking the time to experiencing you, I need you to hear this. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not too much. You're not unapproachable. You're not hard to connect with. You're just not for everyone anymore. And that's not rejection, that's alignment. Because the right people won't be intimidated by you, they'll understand you, they'll meet you where you are, they'll see you for who you are, not what they assume. And until then, you're just in a space where you're just becoming. And that space isn't empty, it's just new. So instead of asking yourself, why do I feel alone? Ask yourself, what am I no longer available for? Because that answer, that's your growth right there. If this episode hit you, send it to someone who needs to hear this. Save it, come back to it. And if you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe, like, share, because we talk about the real stuff here. And I'll see you guys until the next one. Love you bunches. Stay unfiltered, unapologetic, and unstoppable.
And remember, we're unfiltered, unapologetic, and unstoppable. That's that.